We got to empty these shelves and take those down. Well, I thought that was going to work, but oh well. Quick little video of this weekend's project. It's an apartment, 1 row deep storage. You use an item like tahini with your margaritas, you always put it back. Eugene Sig over here with EZStudRack. Today's project is going to be a utility room slash pantry room. We're in an apartment complex. One of my friends said they have these shelves, and I was like, oh really? What kind of shelves do you have? They have these deep shelves, wide shelves, and you know what I feel about deep wide shelves. It always cause clutter. Since it's an apartment complex, they asked,
hey, is there a way to do it without screwing into the walls?
And I'm thinking, you got this baseboard right here. It's not going to be able to sit flat on the ground. To go up maybe 4 inches. Ceiling wise, it's about 8 feet tall. Went ahead and did some preliminary measurements. It's 44 inches wide. We can go up and then just put a board that goes across from there to there. As I'm looking at this thing, I'm just measuring. It's gonna have to fit between the washer and dryer. It's about 44 inches. Yeah, 8 feet tall would be good height. Some things to consider when you're working a project like this is your door entrance. It's 32 inches. So I'm gonna try to build a 44-inch frame and fit it through a 32-inch door. So we got our preliminary measurements. Now we can go to our calculation sheet. So look in the description down, and you can look at this video right here, and you can see how to use that calculation sheet. If you go to EZStudRack.com, click on DIY Expert Advisor, go to Frame Wall Kit Designer. This little screen comes up, it's blank. And for this particular wall, it's going to be 44 inches wide. The height, you type in, what do we say, 96 inches. And then number of columns, I'm just going to say it's going to be 2 columns. So you update design. This top board, the wall width, just verifying what we typed in, 44 by 96 inches. The shelf width, it automatically calculates out what size shelf you're going to cut. You'll cut a shelf that's 19.5 inches. This one here is just in decimal place. You know, tape measure doesn't have a decimal on it, so it just rounds down to the nearest 1/16 of an inch. Now it also tells you what size to cut your top and bottom studs. So the horizontal studs, that's these right here. And the bottom one, cut it at 44 inches, which we figured that since our frame is going to be 44 inches. But this vertical stud is not 96 inches, it's 93 inches. Why is it 93? Because it subtracts the width of the top and bottom horizontal studs, which are each 1.5 inches. So that's 93 inches. You cut your vertical studs, and then you're going to have how many vertical studs? You're going to have 3. So you got 1, 2, 3. And look at this. It also tells you how many EZStudRacks you're going to need for this particular layout. Say you wanted 3 sections, update designer, then you need to cut your shelves at 12 and 7/16. You're going to need 42 EZStudRacks, but you really got to think about, are you going to be able to utilize a 12 and 7/16 inch shelf? I always recommend between like 18, 19, and 22 inches. Update designer. And voila, if you want to print the design, you just hit print, and there you go. How many EZStudRacks? And I do want to say that the kit, if you go to buy now, frame wall kit, this is what your kit comes with. If you want to purchase a frame wall kit and attach it to a wall, find a stud and screw it on a wall, here's what comes with your frame wall kit. Packet of screws, 3 inches long. What I include in this frame wall kit is the screws, 16 of these screws to build your frame, the star Torx bits, bit, and you get what I call shelf locks, the packet of screws, 120 of those screws, and then you got your structural bolt. If you want to look at this video, you'll see the frame wall kit where I kind of go in through building a frame wall and talk about all those details in the garage. What's an EZStudRack? It's this guy, just a simple little piece of plastic that attaches to your stud like that, and then you insert your shelves. Of course, you'd have to have 2 like this. You could put any size shelf in there. Some people use it for stamping pads that are this wide. Some people use it for this, for like just little knick-knack items. Some people want the big shelves because I don't know why they would want such big shelves, because they always cause clutter. What size is an EZStudRack? Well, it's the width of a 2x4, which is 3.5 inches. The height, 12 and 11/16. I always tell people just a little over a foot. 12 and 11/16. The gap between here is for a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. or what they call like a 1x4, 1x6, 1x8, which is actually 3/4 inches. It's a little over 3/4 inches because wood likes to expand and contract, depends on the humidity. It allows a little bit of slop in there for that shelf to expand a little bit. For the ideal 19.5-inch spacing, it calls out for 3 vertical members, if you want to call it. Pretend this is on your wall. You got your left vertical column, you got your center, and then you got your outside one. Put your best looking side of your board to the outside. You got your 3 boards, and between here is going to be 19.5-inch shelves. You can set these on the ground. You can work on them in your apartment. I can set them on the ground, but I just got them here sitting up because I don't want to be bending over. Remember your text. There's text on here. You want the text to always face the same direction. This is not really just to show you how to do an install. It's actually an organization video on how my mindset works, because I'm an excellent organizer. God. Not really, just kidding. Anyway, what do you store in your pantry? You got paper towels that you store, boxes of, this whole Keurig K-cup type coffee, cleaning sprays. So I'm thinking this is what I'm gonna be storing on the shelf. If I measure the width, 12 inches, it'll fit on a 19.5-inch shelf. So if I store that up at top, I access it, once a week, because I fill up my little K-cup storage bin. So I'll use a little step ladder to reach up and get these. So my top shelf, I need it to be around 6 inches. Paper towels, this one's 11 inches. So let's just say 12 inches. We know your paper towel is going to be stored top, so I just kind of move it over like this. Boom. This is going to be the top. Paper towels, if I put a shelf on the very top, say this is where the shelf's going to go right here. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 EZStudRacks. So I'm going to put 6 on this board, 6 on that board, and 12 on this one. This is the center board. How far from the bottom? 7 inches from the bottom. And I marked this B for bottom because this is going to be the bottom of my frame. So I got all the text facing in the same direction. Text, text, text. If it was upside down, it wouldn't be good. Text to the top, text up, text up. So all we're going to do is we're just going to repeat this on all of them. Let's go, let's go. Aim for the center of this guy. There you go, center. Uh-oh, the battery dead? Always charge your batteries. If the battery's going dead, don't just throw it on the side. That's one of my tips. Just charge it. There we go. Alrighty, we're back in business. We set the torque setting to 7. That way it doesn't go too deep. So what do? We align this, and then we align the top. Just make sure it's in the between right here in the center. On the top one, I recommend kind of doing it kind of to the front like that. As it screws in, it stretches it out. And then the rest of them, you just put them in the middle. Come in here, you skip 2, 1, 2, and then screw right in the middle. See that? Center, boom. Look, what I do is I just line up the next one like this. Text is to the top. First screw I put in, I'm going to put it right in the center. Grab a screw, center. The next one's going to go closer to the top to stretch it, and repeat. Now we're going to work on the center. Line up the boards next to each other like this. EZStudRack is a straight edge just to get them to line up. I'm going to mark this as just the bottom just for reference. Use the EZStudRack and then just push it into place. And just repeat again, but this time we're going to do it on both sides. Now remember, this one we have to do them on both sides. I'll grab the old one again, the original one that we did. Remember, 7 inches from the bottom, but in our case we're just going to line it up. Use this guy, come back, text facing the same direction. Use this as a straight edge, and voila, ready to roll. You notice that the whole pattern is zigzagged. So the one behind this guy is on the opposite side. So that way the screws overlap each other, and we just continue. Remember when I put this guy to the side, lined it up, lined the edges up, and then did the straight edge? Use the same one. As each one progresses, it might be slightly off, and then it gets slightly off on the next one, and it just keeps getting off and off and off. Getting off. So this is what's going to be facing as you walk in your pantry or storage or your, this is the side. This is going to be against the wall. I mean, it's going to be open. If you want to paint it, you can paint it. But right now, this is the better looking of both sides. And what I'm going to do here is I'm kind of just looking. See, this one has a lot of knots. It's going to look ugly if you try to paint it. So I'm going to use this as what's going to be facing me as I open up the pantry or wherever it's used. I know I want to attach the EZStudRack on this side. Oh, one thing I did check, I lined up all these 2x4s and they're all exactly the same length. If they're different lengths, you want to cut them all the same length. That's flush, text to the top, line it up, just like that. All right, all the EZStudRacks are in. Now it's time to finish building out the frame. I'm just going to build it right here on the ground. 44-inch top board, 44-inch bottom board. Now it's time to cut those boards. So I just measured 44 inches. Now here's a little tip. I learned this from my dad and pretty much every carpenter. When you mark it, people want to put a line, but sometimes that line goes crooked. Always put a little arrow like this. Boom. 44 inches. We'll cut it 44 inches. And then we'll use that same board to cut the next one. Now, one thing I want to point out, hey, I don't have all the right equipment. Don't let that keep you from doing this. You can go to Home Depot, you can go to Lowe's, give them your list. They'll cut it for you, but don't let that keep you from doing this project. Let's cut it 44 inches.
Pencil. Where'd you go? Oh, here you are.
Here's the part where if you watch the video on that garage frame wall, I'll go into a little more details, I think, but I'll try to just kind of do a quick recap. Okay, we're gonna go in here like this, and then this guy's gonna go in the middle. We know our board's gonna be 19.5 inches between, so we're gonna cut 4 boards, maybe 6 boards, and we're just gonna slide them in here, screw it all together. 4 boards at 19.5. So I'm just gonna slide it in here like this. I'm gonna slide it in here like this. I'm gonna line up the edge. One thing you might want to make sure too is when you measure your width, make sure it'll fit in the doorway. We're gonna try to maneuver this one in, but we'll see. I think I measured it, it was all right. Check it out, you can go from this side, that goes in to this side, that goes in, 1, 2, oh, it's crooked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, still crooked. When you got a 8-foot long frame, 44 inches wide, trying to get it in some doors and hallways is, I'm hoping we can get it in here. Here we go.
Here we go, here we go. Look at these guns, holy cow. Go up. Oh yeah. You have any help? It really helps. I don't think it's gonna go. Oh boy. Oh brother. Let's take the doors out. See if that'll help. Almost there. Oh, I think it's gonna go. Ow, that's my finger. Ow, that's my finger. Ah. Oh. Yes.
One tip, make sure you're putting in what you want to be at the bottom and what you want to be at the top. Put your top in first, because if I had this thing the wrong way, I'd have to take this whole thing back out, flip it around, and put it back in. So what do we learn from this? The width from inside to inside is 35.5 inches. 44-inch door or frame, you can fit it in. So this is gonna go up against the wall, but in order for it to go against the wall, we're gonna have to get it above that molding. I've got these little blocks that I cut. Put that guy there, and that guy over there. Go up. There we go. Push it back like that. So before I gonna put those guys in, I'm gonna have to come up and I'm gonna put an arm from there to this wall, just to keep this guy from fall over. Luckily it's kind of rubbing up against that little section there. And then I'll come on this side and just go across. So really this frame is kind of floating. Nothing's to be screwed in anywhere. I'm just gonna measure from here to the wall and cut a 2x4 at 33.5 inches. 33.5 inches will do it. All Alrighty, so we cut these woods at 33.5 inches. I'm just gonna come in here and I'm gonna put 2 of these 3-inch long deck screws. I'm gonna attach it to the 2x4 up there like this. I got a little bit of wiggle room. I'll put it up against the wall and then just screw it in. I put the 2 screws on there so I don't have to mess with it. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just sandwich this thing in there, push this up against the wall like this, and screw it in. That way that keeps this guy from falling over and we don't have to nail anything. Pretty simple, huh? As you can see, I mean, it's not rocket science. All it is just a little board that keeps that shelf in place or from falling over. And we'll do the same thing on this side. So now we screwed the top in, we're gonna put these guys. You know, I think we're gonna do it like this. There we go. Boom, look at that. So we're just gonna put a level on here like this. It looks like the top needs to move over a little bit, or the bottom needs to move this way. So let me show you how to accurately move it. There you go. Really close to being level. Oh, oof. But yeah, once we move that over, get it to hug that, I think we're golden. Here's the part that I like. It's just organizing. How do you organize? You can barely see. This is the top of the dryer. It opens up, so we can't really put any shelves deeper than a 1x4. A lot of people ask, they go and actually buy a 1x4. Somewhere they find a 1-inch thick piece of wood by 4 inches. They're called 1x4s, but they're actually 3.5 inches wide by 3/4 of an inch deep. So 3/4 by 3.5. Now you can cut 3/4 inch plywood. You can cut it to whatever size you want. This one here, but it looks like it's about 5 inches wide. These are just scrap pieces of wood that I was able to find. And then this is a 1x6, which is 5.25 inches wide by 3/4 inches thick. So we can use 1x6s. Remember, when we built these things, we actually used the shelves to keep everything in place. So one side should be able to fit the other side. You might have to stretch it out a little bit. Now you just start stacking your items. Let me give you an example. Let's say this spray bottle. You can store it 2 different ways. You can store it like that, use a 1x4, or you can store it like that. If you need more room, you can stack more bottles. I personally like this guy like this, because you can see it. Next step is to just organize. If you want to paint the shelves, but I don't paint. You know why? Because then it's got to dry. I'm ready to get in there and get organized. 1 row deep storage. Use an item like tahini with your margaritas. You always put it back.